Hello, friends. Welcome to Forensic Science by Dr. Upesh. And today, once again, on your special demand, Miss Ishara is with me. Miss Ishara, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart to accept this invitation and to be here to talk about, so many things we are having to talk about with the people. And first of all, as definitely the topic of today's session is the behavioral analysis of of Sachin Waze. Let me put a disclaimer to all the people here that we are doing only behavior analysis. We are not uh, doing the clinical analysis here. So, Ms. Ishara, I would like to welcome you. So, first thing I would like to ask you, what is this behavior analysis, and what we do in behavior analysis?
Well, good evening, Dr. Papesh, and to all our lovely viewers. It's been a long time, so thank you for inviting me. Okay, starting with behavioral analysis. This is a process where we use certain tools to look at the outward behavior of people, usually suspects or criminals. And this is the observable behavior of a person. It's not the comprehensive profile of a person, because that would include your psychological profile, their health history, their childhood background, their life background, their career background, and everything else. So today we're just going to look at Sachin Vaze's behavior that we have
Okay,
all witnessed with all his interviews and all his interactions with the public and everything like that. So that's how I have compiled this behavioral analysis, just looking at his outward behavior. So this is not a session to diagnose Mr. Vaze with anything. It is just
okay,
drawing similarities to behavior that we study in criminology and psychology.
okay.
So,
One more question: how you do behavior analysis means you are a criminologist, and I know the criminal profiling is one thing. What we do in forensic science, in criminal profiling, we look at the crime scene and we try to identify the criminal on the basis of the crime scene or the crime in the way it has been committed. But what you guys do as a criminologist to do the criminal profiling?
yes, that's what we do. But we also work hand in hand with evidence as well, if it's available. So,
Mhm.
when we do behavioral analysis, we rely heavily on something called the DSMV, which is a diagnostic statistical manual used by the psychological sector, and it's used to diagnose mental illness and abnormal behavior. Now, as we see that Mr. Sachin Bazi does not display normal behavior, he does things that are really out of the context. So we have discussed him previously in a session, and I did say that he is a person who falls into the category of an organized and a disorganized typology of a criminal, right? So, continuing from there, today we're going to talk about a very broad category, which is called antisocial personality disorders, right? And under this, you would find the categories of psychopaths, sociopaths, histrionic personalities, and narcissistic personalities. So let me remind you, this is not a diagnosis because I don't have his full history, and I cannot make that for on live as a diagnosis for ethical and for legal reasons. So this is just drawing similarities of his behavior. So when we look at Sachin Bazi, we see
And
that
yeah,
his behavior starts to unfold around the events of the Antilia episode and the Mansukh
yes.
Hiren incident. So we see his character flaws starting to surface. Okay. And
Yeah.
now to
Let
discuss,
me share, first of all,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. So under this broad category, we have psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissistic, and histrionic personalities. Now, these are difficult categories to either treat or to understand. So, Mr. Vazi, when we talk about him, I'm going to draw parallels with sociopathy, right? Now, this category involves people like similar to his character, okay? These people have no remorse, they have no empathy, they have a disregard for laws, and they are impulsive, they are reactive, they are usually unstable, and they are very impulsive in their nature. And when you look at him over the months, we have seen him how he reacts to the public when he used to be interviewed or people wanted to interview him. He pushes
Miss
reporters
Ishara,
away. No sound.
sorry. Now it's
Okay.
clear.
Yes, yes.
The thing is that, guys, Sachin Waze have done more than 63 encounters, and that's why he is known as encounter specialist. Now he was suspended for 17 years in one of the case where there is a custodial death happens of Khwaja Yunus. But then later on, as we know that he has been reinstated in the police force in June 2020. But all of you guys, let me make it one thing very clear. In 1997, when I took this history, in 1997, there was a special squad which had been formed by Thane police to prevent the growing extortion demands and open violence. Now, he was the person from the ministers, of that time, and even this time, as we know that what government is in Maharashtra and what was the government at that time. He was the person who had been reinstated and who had been made the head of the special squad to fight the extortion. And now what we can see, he is the mastermind of the extortion. So this thing is happening from 1997 or even before that, how the violence. And he has done his first encounter when he became the head of the anti-extortion cell, AEC. He became the head of the anti-extortion cell at that time, 1997, and then he has done the first encounter. Now we can correlate that how he has done the so-called encounter. Actually, he has killed Mansukh Hiren, but how he has done the so-called encounter of Mansukh Hiren. So, what about all the 63 encounters he has done? Yes, Miss Ishara.
Yeah, well, obviously now the government will have to go back and look at those cases because we don't know the truth about those cases. Now that his history is coming out, that he has lied about such things, they're going to
Yeah.
re-evaluate those cases. And that pattern of his behavior has just escalated from then, from the encounter days to now. It has not stopped. So he has somehow internalized all this, right? And he was like strategically placed in the crime intelligence unit right now, before he got dismissed. So he knew everything that went on in the police force. So he was the eye on the inside and outside. He had eyes and ears everywhere. So this is how he managed to carry out all these incidents. It was well planned, and he had help from his fellow officers. Some of them that we have seen, also arrested with him. So it is a well planned organization, and obviously, he does not work for himself. He is being backed by political parties, I would say. So there's a lot
Yeah.
of influence in this case. Right now, he's in jail, and he knows that he has to do something to save his own skin. And as we see now, he's trying to be an approver. But how
Okay.
much truth
What?
will come from that,
Yeah.
we don't know. Because when a person wants to be an approver, they're going to just give you what they think you want to hear. So we don't know if he's going to divulge the entire truth right now. Because
Okay. My
these
question
kinds
to
of
you
people,
is,
they are very deceptive and they are narcissistic. So they are self-centered and they only do what suits them and what works best for them. They don't care about anybody else's problems.
Miss Ishara, can you explain more about narcissism, psychopaths, and social psychopaths? Because then we will correlate. the findings with Sachin Vazir, with people like Sachin Vazir, because yes, Sachin Vazir, of course, who has done so many murders. We will say murder, we will not say encounter,
Mhm.
because there are custodial deaths also. So we will say murder, because now I can see. I was not knowing this fact earlier, that when he has been transferred to anti-extortion cell to prevent the extortion, and
Mhm.
what is happening today. So
And
can you
now he's
explain
the
more about
extortioner.
the extortioner? So, can you explain more about this narcissistic personality, psychopath, and social psychopath for the people? Yeah.
Okay, so psychopaths, the biggest difference between a psychopath and a sociopath is that psychopaths are born, right? There is a genetic component to being a psychopath. So it kind of runs in families, all right? And sociopaths, they are not born, they are made into sociopaths by their experiences, by their backgrounds, by their social environment, their work environment. So it is learned behavior. It is not inborn. Okay, and so psychopaths are very cool on the outside, but very cunning on the inside. And sociopaths are very erratic. They're very impulsive. They're very reactive. And you see that in Sachin Vaze. Like, as I said, when the reporters wanted to speak to him, he would dismiss them or he would just brush them aside. And he's very impatient,
Yes.
right? And with psychopaths, they are very cool people because they plan things. With sociopaths, they are sloppy. They don't plan well. They are impulsive, right? They're spontaneous. And as we see with the Antillia bombing, alleged bombing case, that his behavior was not normal, right? His behavior was so sloppy that he forgot to put the note into the vehicle. So he goes back to put the note in the vehicle.
Yes.
A psychopath will not make that mistake because he thinks things through before he acts. Everything is planned meticulously, and Sachin Vaze is not meticulous.
You know, one thing he has planned, Miss Ishara, the way he was walking, when we have seen the CCTV footage, he was walking with, what we call, like a person who is handicapped, slightly handicapped, say partially handicapped, and
Mhm.
wearing all the scarf and everything. So he has planned in that way that he will not be caught. But as you said, yes, he want to complete his task at what he has thought of. So he went back again to keep that letter inside the car in the interior, and that's how he was caught. So
Yes, and
in
then
which
with the
category?
Mansukh Hiren case, you saw
Yeah.
the evidence floated back. He did not dispose of the evidence properly. That's how he was caught. The body came back.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you want a psychopath now, he would be really meticulous. If he wants to get rid of evidence, you won't find a trace of the evidence. You'd have to really look hard for that evidence. So you see the planning between a psychopath and a sociopath differs greatly.
And also, what I think now, he was suspended for 17 years. A person, I'm having different view, say, regarding this. A person, when somebody knows that this person is a sociopath or psychopath or somebody like this who is very dangerous for the society, so better to keep him away from the duties, from such responsibilities where he can take more lives. This is one thing which I think, that he
Mhm.
has been suspended by the court, because people in the system knows that what kind of personality he is not an encounter specialist. He enjoy killing the people.
Yeah,
So this
that's
is my
true
thinking.
about
Yeah.
psychopaths and sociopaths. As I say, they have no empathy, right? A psychopath has no empathy and no remorse, but a sociopath may have a little bit of remorse or empathy. Yeah, as we see in Mr. Sachin Baz's case, he has a little bit of emotional attachment to his family. He has a wife and I think a daughter also, and he has a brother. So he has a little bit of attachment. He may only show remorse and empathy towards them, but everybody else, they don't mean anything to him as a sociopath. And a psychopath, they pretend. to be good people. They pretend to like people. They pretend about everything. Meantime, they are plotting and planning internally. With the sociopath, it's very external.
Yeah, true. Okay, these people have a particular state of thinking. What they think that whatever they are doing is right. I have read somewhere, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a criminologist, but in my masters, I read somewhere that whatever they do, they think,
Excuse
sorry,
me.
whatever they do, they think that it is the right way, it is the only right way. Okay, they are having, even for the extortion of money, he was doing in such a way, he was planning it in such a way that he should get promoted otherwise.
Yeah, they have the sense of entitlement that it has to be done their way and that they know best what to do and how to do. And we see that with him. He just
What we
does
call it
what
as
he likes. Whatever he
grandeur
wants to
of,
do, he does.
yeah, I don't remember the term, the grandeur of.
Grandiosity. They have a sense of grandiosity.
Okay, so they want to be the bigger one, the best one
Yes.
in everything. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. My question, my direct question to you: what is your thinking in his involvement in Sushant Singh Rajput case or Disha Salin case?
Well, I think he was sent with with a purpose. He was reinstated on the night before. I think Disha was killed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think it was the 6th that he was reinstated.
Sixth or seventh, yeah, sixth.
Yeah. So that was very strategic. Now you have to ask yourself, why was at that particular time, after 17 years, somebody comes back all of a sudden in the picture? What reason?
Now there is a
And we
takeaway for the
see,
people.
sorry, and
Yeah.
we see that the political party that he belonged to had a hand in his coming back into the force. And then a week later, we find that Sushant Singh Rajput has been killed. And definitely he has a hand in it, in this, because he's like the cleanup crew. He comes to get rid of evidence, direct what is going to happen. He's good at that. We saw that happening in the Mansukh Hiren case, where he was killed. We saw the planning around it. We saw how he was killed and how the evidence was tampered with, thrown into the river. And then we see that suddenly the Miti River is being, dredged. But what happens to all that evidence that
Yes.
they do find in the river? Where is that? How do they account for what they have found? You don't
We
hear
have seen
about
in
that.
television. Yes, we have seen in television. There was a CPU, there was a laptop, there was hard drive. So many things have been encountered from the Methi River. But
Yes.
what happened to all those? The
But there
second thing,
must be more evidence in that river because that dredging of that river started after those evidences were found. So perhaps there is more evidence that they need to conceal and get rid of. This is why they are cleaning up that river. But we don't hear about it. We don't see it being done. There's
yeah,
no reporters around there to show us, well, this is what's
it
going
might
on.
have been done completely. It might have been done because there was only a news that has been circulated that now there is an agenda of cleaning this Methi River.
Yeah, because bodies get dumped in rivers, guns, weapons get dumped in the rivers to get rid of evidence. So you are
This
going
I
to find a
think
lot of things.
this I think if a stun gun have been used in Sushant Singh Rajput case or the taser have
Hmm.
been used, it might have also been thrown in the Methi river.
It
That Methi
may or may not, because also police are issued with stun guns or tasers rather. There is a difference between the taser and the stun gun. That sometimes people use those words interchangeably, but there is a great difference between a stun gun and a taser. So a taser is fired from a distance of between 15
yes,
meters, and the
yeah,
police issue fires from a distance of about 21 meters, right? And a stun gun is something that is used close up. So you have to come near a person. You have to be like, within arm's length of a person to actually use the stun gun. And that would leave like two little holes from the electrodes. And the stun gun would leave a probe in a person. And as we saw in
Yes,
one of the
Ishara,
pictures,
Ishara, I have sent a picture to you of Sushant Singh Rajput.
yes,
You have seen that probe thing
sticking
inside
out.
the neck.
Exactly.
The autopsy or the coroner or the medical examiner, what you have said to me, and even I have realized, they have inserted the probe deeper. They
Yes.
have not taken it outside, because
No.
otherwise it will, clear more ruptures, and it will be more visible if you
Yes.
take out the probe, because it should be taken out with the help of a medical examiner only. And
Yes.
I don't think that's, yeah, please.
Because with the taser, these things penetrate your clothing and everything, and it gets into you. But if it is fired at your neck, at your spine, at your chest areas, those, or in your eye or your face, those things have to be removed by a medical practitioner because they
Yeah,
can cause a lot of bleeding. And as we saw, he had the probe in his neck, so definitely they could not pull that probe out because it would create a lot of a bloody mess. So they actually pushed that probe right into his neck. This is why you just see the tail end of the probe sticking out. And
because
then
many
the
people have
other
not
two,
seen that
the
picture
other
yet. Yeah.
dots around his neck, below the belt mark, you can see there's dots. So probably they also used a stun gun after they used the taser. Because Sushant, we know he was extremely fit, he was strong, he was training for the Iron Man. He was a very active person and he could take care of himself. So to immobilize him, they would have used the taser first so that his entire body is immobilized in order to take advantage over him.
Yeah. One more thing which is very much clear, and all the people should know here, that the people like Sachin Waze have been reinstated, means the serial encounter specialist have been reinstated after 17 years
Mhm.
to act upon the good people like Sushant Singh Rajput. So we can understand the intensity of, the kindness or the genuineness of Sushant Singh Rajput, that he was damn sure that Sushant Singh Rajput is going to speak and he will not be, and it is very hard to stop him.
Yes.
So
And
this kind of people, yes,
yeah, the reason behind that torture, they tortured him so much, they beat him, they broke his bones and all that. Why? Because they wanted to extract information that he had. And I think even though he was immobilized and all that, he put up really a big struggle. And I don't think they got what they wanted from him. So obviously they cannot leave him alive. So the only thing
yes,
to do is then to just, kill him, which they did. And that was in a very brutal manner.
okay,
And
from
Sachin
the,
Vaze, being a police officer, he was a seasoned police officer. He knows how the system works. He knows how evidence is collected and what should be there and what shouldn't be there. So he was probably the one who was directing this entire process. And the police officers that were at the scene, we cannot say that they are real police officers unless they are verified, because there were so many of them. We don't even know if they were actually present in the room before the locksmith was called, because to wipe up clear up a crime scene, it takes time,
this is a
and they
very
didn't
good
have
point, very
time.
valid point you are
The
telling,
only
yes.
time they had was from the Friday when his sister left around 4:30. She left, so that window period from 4:30 on the Friday till the Saturday evening is the only time period they had to do what they needed to do, because she was going to return on the Sunday to have lunch with him. So that window period put them in a frenzy to commit what they wanted to do. So they had to act fast. So, when we see all the videos, we see a lot of police there, but we don't see a lot of police going into the premises. So how do we know that they were not already on the premises inside the room And that is why the locksmith did not see them.
Correct.
That is why nobody was allowed to
Allowed to
to go
enter.
in the room,
Yeah.
because they were probably in there prepping the entire room so that when Me Too comes, this is the only thing that she's going to see. So it was like well timed.
So you mean
They
to
knew
say that
exactly how long
all
that
these
she would
police
come,
guys and everybody was already inside. And when
Yes,
Me Too came, and when the video had been released, the video had been made, at that time already the people were in, because we have not seen, yes,
yes,
when the news came, we have not seen the police vehicle coming inside, going inside. We have
yes.
seen the police already inside.
You see a lot of people coming out, but how did they get in? Where were they?
Yes,
And
true.
I mean, there was a lot of paparazzi around. All entrances were being, checked. People were all over the place.
And no CCTV footage. Why the
And no,
CCTV footage?
because they don't
Why
want
this?
you to see who's coming into the
They don't want people to see. Yes.
premises and at what time. They all probably got there on the Saturday evening, because he was killed during that evening, the early hours, on Saturday. And his body was placed there. And as we discussed previously, that's not where he was killed, because a gruesome death like that is sure to leave a trail of blood. We don't see that.
So it was
We don't
killed.
even see it on his body. Look at the cut under his chin. That looks like
There
a
is one
wire
more,
cut.
yeah. Wire cut is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that would bleed. But do you see any blood on him? Everything seems
No.
to be wiped clean. And the body has been laying there for so long. There's no blood on the bed, there's nothing. But you do see his clothes have a little bit of powder or blood marks or something, some sort of substance on his body.
And this is once again can be the work of like a sociopath, like Sachin Waze. So
Yes,
Ishara,
because they don't think anything about killing anybody.
would you like to comment on the question which you can see on your screen? What was the main reason of SSR mysterious death? Was it just child trafficking, drugs mafia, etc., or planned to open some unimaginable projects and invention for better India? Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Look, all those things, all this trafficking, drug trafficking, human trafficking, all that falls under organized crime. Okay? And organized crime, as we explained previously, involves all these things. And he knew something very, very important that he and probably Disha shared with each other. She worked for that Cornerstone place, and she
Mhm.
knew the ins and outs of Bollywood people. I'm sure maybe she perhaps, got to know something and shared it with him. And they started to investigate, and then he, probably collected a lot of information on this and would have wanted to expose it, because there is more to this case than just professional jealousy and organized crime. To
So
me,
one
I
thing very
think it,
clearly,
it has a
yeah,
lot to do with the national security of the country. I think he would have discovered something around that.
very good point. Very good point. People should make a note of it that Miss Ishara have discussed two major points, and one we will discuss again. Like that, people were police officials. It might have been a possibility, and it is very much a possibility, as the way you have said that we have not seen the people going inside, so police might have already been there inside. Number one thing. Second thing, we should not forget the modus operandi of Sachin Waze, the way he works. Number three, whatever you have said, that it might be a reason of the national security or something very big why Sushant have been trapped and killed. Otherwise, they would not have succeed in their planning.
Yes, because as you see now, there's a lot of things coming out around this Sushant Singh Rajput's case. They're not linking it directly as yet, but the link is there. They are still working on it. They have now called, the NIA came in with Sachin Vazi's case with the Antilia bombing,
Mhm.
suppose, bombing. and the Mansukh Hiren case. So all these things are connected, and Disha's case is connected to this because she was his manager. Although she
Yeah.
was new as a new manager, I'm sure she got to know Sushant very well because he's the type of person who will actually want to know the people around him.
And he easily get connected emotionally, even
Yes,
uh, with the good people
definitely.
around. Yeah.
He was such a good soul that people were important to him. I mean, look at the people that worked for him, those that were present at the time of the murder. That Pitani, Keshav, Dipesh, and Neeraj.
Yeah. Yeah.
He treated them like his own. They were like brothers to him, like blood brothers to him. But not one of them stood up for him. In fact,
True.
they all just colluded and made this happen. And as we know, that all their statements are conflicting, especially those of Niraj and Pitani.
There is a say that everything comes to an end at time. The thing is that the Sachin Waze's biggest mistake was to choose the Antilia, or whosoever these team members to choose Antilia as their target. Number one. Number two, it was only a matter of time that Mansoor Hiren dead body had not what we say had flown with the current say, out. It was there only which have been identified by these the fishermen's. So it was his time. God wants us, all of us, to know. And Shoshant, divine soul, wants to bring something out. Even I still believe that. See, being a scientist, I believe in souls. I believe in good spirits and everything. It is Shoshant's soul that has done all these things to bring out.
Definitely, you cannot hide the truth forever. The truth will
Yeah.
surface, whether it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, the truth will come out. You
So
cannot clean
Ishara,
up
there
a
was a
crime
question.
scene totally. There will
Yeah.
always be evidence at a crime scene. And this is why, everything happens so rapidly around his cremation. Because when you get rid of the body of evidence, nobody can go back and check what happened. As we
Yeah.
know with the autopsy, what happened.
At the night time, the autopsy, and Sachin was there. He was the say, because he is the mastermind. He is like the boss. Whatever he will
Yeah,
say in
he
Mumbai
came
or
with his
Maharashtra.
cleanup crew. He came with
Yeah,
his cleanup crew to clean up the place so that no evidence is found. And
and the
this is
same thing he has
also
tried.
happened
Yes,
with the Khwaja Yunus case.
yes, and even the Mansukh Hiren case, we have seen him
Yes,
say he was setting up the thing with the coroner, with the autopsy examiner. He was setting up the thing. We have seen that video. What Sachin was doing at the autopsy
yes,
of
at the
Mansukh
hospital.
Hiren.
What was he doing there?
Yeah.
Why
So
did
what
he
was he
go
doing?
there? He was not the investigating officer of the Hiren case, was he?
Yeah. Would you
So
like
he
to
had no
answer this
business being
question?
there.
There's a
Uh,
question. Is it possible
is it
that
possible?
one of
I
the two
don't.
rounds now are cigarette stubbed on the neck?
No, cigarette stubs would be a bit broader and they would leave like a burn mark. These are like either the taser gun and the stun gun, in my opinion.
And even I think the same. But they have planned, the planning was okay, once they have killed Sushant Singh Rajput, hypothetically we are saying, because we are not CBI professional, but of course I am forensic expert, you are a criminologist, whatever analysis we have done throughout, we can say the planning was only to show it as a case of suicide. And even in the
Exactly.
case of Mansukh Hiren, when they will take out the name of Mansukh Hiren, that Mansukh Hiren was the person who was doing all these things. So Mansukh Hiren has committed suicide. It was again to call Mansukh Hiren case as a suicide case and the same. So this was the strategy. This was the strategy. Maybe with the other encounters as well. This
Yeah.
was the strategy of the Sachin Wade to call all the cases as a case of suicide. Yeah, please.
Yeah, because if you look at it, now that Parambir Singh has been implicated in all of this, if you look at it, probably he was the one who was also, backing them up to do these things. So they had control over Mumbai. People could
Complete,
be
complete
killed
control.
and it would be written off as a suicide. because they
Yes.
get rid of the evidence.
From head to toe, it can be completely managed. They,
Yeah.
they were very well knowing that nobody is going to stop them from head to toe, whosoever comes in between.
Yeah,
So that's
and you
why
see how
yeah.
selectively the justice is carried out, how selectively cases are filed and processed. Like even with Bollywood stars, they have preference over the normal people in society.
Mhm.
They are at the beck and call of the police. The police are at the beck and call of Bollywood. But when such a big celebrity case has happened, what happened? No police response. The entire scene was botched up. There was no protocol followed, no cordoning off of the scene, no restriction of people who were going to the property, no collection of evidence. The only little evidence they collected was the viscera.
Yeah. And
And that's a
after
good
that,
thing because it actually proves that he was not a drug addict like they would want us to think.
at least, yeah,
Yeah,
true, at least. Otherwise, they were saying that he was a drug addict. So let me tell all the people once again. The so-called visceral report from AIMS have confirmed that there was no sign of drug, alcohol, or even the medicine. So whatever the depression theory, whatever drug theory, whatever uh, theories went around, AIMS report have completely vanished off all these theories. Yes,
exactly.
Mrs. Shah.
And Sushant's personality does not fit that of somebody who will actually commit suicide. You have to provide proof to say how and why he committed suicide. Nothing proves that it was a suicide right now. So
And
when
the
it
person
goes to
who's having
court, they're
so
going to
many
have a
plans.
hard time proving that. Because you see, a person who commits suicide, they usually do certain things before they commit suicide, right? Things like they will take care of their financial affairs, they will give away their personal properties, they will make a will, they will write something, leave a suicide note, do all those kind of things. So there is like a little bit of planning before they commit suicide.
Hmm,
In Sushant's
true.
case, there's no such thing. The only planning there was of his future goals, his future life, what he wanted to do with his life in the future. And he had so many of those dreams. He was a spontaneous person and nothing threatened him. If he was kicked out of Bollywood for professional reasons, he would just pick up something else and make a success out of it because that's the kind of personality he has. He's somebody that, in criminology and psychology, you would call somebody like that is a self actualized person. Not many people reach that height of self actualization. And that comes from Abraham Maslow's theory of self actualization.
Okay. So, you know, he was having threats from everywhere. Sushant Singh Rajput. First threat was he was growing in his career, being an outsider. He was growing in his career. He was getting very good movies, and I don't feel ashamed to say this in front of everybody that how Ranveer Singh have taken all his movies. And we have seen, I have posted a video also where Ankita Lokhande is there and how Ranveer Singh is meeting the Ankita Lokhande in that way when Sushant is looking say somewhere else. So how he have been cheated, Sushant Singh Rajput have been cheated, he have been threatened, to throw out him from the industry, to throw out from the system, so he should not speak whatever is going on. But Sushant Singh Rajput, say one thing was very clear. I don't know, maybe say before Tai came into his life or after Tai came, he came to know so many things because of Tai only.
Definitely, he had all the information. And because he was such a caring, trusting person, he shared all this information with his housemates, including Tai. So they knew
Yeah.
everything. And he never for once thought that they would do this to him. that they were working behind his back and plotting and planning to kill him. So he trusted them. And these were the very people who betrayed him and had
Mhm.
a hand in his murder. There's no way that all these people don't know anything about his murder. They were present. They
All
were
of them,
they were
all
the
of them.
only ones present at the time of his alleged suicide. And we see how much of drama they created around that.
Yeah.
How many
One thing more.
conflicting
One thing more.
stories
I
there
have
are
taken the
around that.
notes. I say I have taken the notes to ask questions from you today,
Uh-huh.
and even to share with the people. Uh, the thing is that Sushant Singh Rajput, do you think that he has approached to police, even to Sachin Waze, after Disha Salian death?
You
Do
mean
you
did
think
he
so?
approach Sachin Vaze for help?
For help or to identify, or he has called him that he knows that Sachin Waze have killed him and he is going to bring out this in front of everybody. Do you think so? That this can be a reason?
I don't think that Sachin Vaze would have been directly in contact with Sushant. Sushant was not a person to just like go and speak to anybody. I think he preferred to take things in his own hands and do things his way. But because of the people that were living in his house, they are the ones who told that to the police. They were relaying information, working hand in hand with the police.
Uh, I I request you to answer the question of the say Michelle first, and then we will take other questions also because people are, I can see many questions here. So what about the hashtag of Steve Pinto came up with, and where is this man and the others? We don't know where is Mr. Steve Pinto, but his
Well,
hashtags. Yeah,
yeah,
please.
we did I think one or two episodes of Steve Pinto's hashtags. But with his hashtags, he gave us a lot of information, especially about drug trafficking and about the
What is happening
Bollywood
inside the
world.
Bollywood? Inside the
Yes,
Bollywood,
what's
yeah.
happening inside Bollywood. And if you look at it, Samir Vankede has been doing such a good job of stopping this drug trafficking in India. So Steve Pinto's hashtags, they ring true on many issues. And the last we heard about Steve Pinto was that he was killed in an accident. But I don't believe that. I believe he's still alive and he's in hiding because he has inside info of Bollywood and what happened. Because his hashtags, they say everything about Disha's case.
Hmm.
He talks also about Sushant's case. And he does say that they did not commit suicide in his hashtags.
Okay. Now again, say coming back to the topic, and then we will take other question.
Hmm.
Do you think that people like Sachin Waze are good for society, or they should be out on bail?
No, I don't think they should be out on bail. If you look at his track record, if he comes out on bail, he's going to intervene with all the witnesses against him.
Yes.
He's going to go intimidate all these witnesses, and he's going
Yeah.
to probably try and frame these witnesses, just as they did with the encounter days.
Hmm.
I mean, his track record speaks for itself. He's a danger to society, unfortunately. He could have been a good officer, but he turned out to be a bad one.
True. And what about this question? What Mr. Bhaskar is asking? Some person, maybe the police. Actually, we have discussed already. Entered Mount Blanc early in the morning
Hmm.
from. It's not from back gate. Even from the same gate, they would have entered
They
because
entered
there is
through the
no.
front. That's why there's no
Yeah.
CCTV in broad daylight.
CCTV drives, what we call the DVRs, have been thrown in the Mithi River,
Yeah.
in the Mithi Nadi. Yeah,
Nobody wanted to be seen. So the first thing to do is to get rid of the CCTV. Switch it off or remove it totally. There's nobody to say, well, who came in the building and at what time they came into the building. That window period from that Friday afternoon till that Saturday night is the time that this murder was committed. They really had to rush in this frenzy to take care of it. Because, as I said, Me Too was returning the next day. So they made up the story. And that is why everybody has conflicting stories. Because they
Hmm.
can't remember what to say. Because when you lie,
Yeah.
you have to speak 100 more lies to cover up that first lie.
To cover up. Yeah.
But if you speak the truth, you don't have to fear anything. You just speak the same thing all the time. And if you notice with Niraj constantly, he emphasizes certain things because he wants you to think in a certain way. So his statements are very important and Pitani's statements because they were on the premises at the time. Because like Niraj, he emphasizes the room was very dark. The room was very cold. I gave Sushant cold water. I ran and I did this and I ran and I did that. Why is he being so specific? Why is he giving extra information to the public?
And if it is a case of suicide, I will tell you one more thing. All the people, if it is a case of suicide, and if Sushant want to bring so many things out in the people, there must be a suicidal note, there must be a suicidal video, there must be something which he want to bring out in the front of the people, because they have destroyed everything and they killed him. And they
Yes.
killed him.
He valued human life more than anything else.
Yeah.
As I was talking about, self-actualized people, these people value other people's lives. And you saw that in Shashank. He cared more about other people. He cared about uplifting society. He cared about doing things for the underprivileged. He had many charities going on. So a person like that cannot kill themselves, especially when they have so many dreams and goals and ideas. He was not intimidated by anything, by failure. Failure he accepted.
He
So
accepted
people
the
say
failure
who,
of him. Yeah.
he's a failure in Bollywood. It didn't phase him
No, he
because
didn't
these
fail.
kind of people with this kind of personality, they just move on to something else. They are so high functioning, so intellectual that they can do anything and they can do it to perfection. It comes naturally to them. So if he was fearful of something, he was being, uh, you know, intimidated in any way, it didn't work.
And if people say that because of Riya Chakravarti has a breakup with him, no, it cannot be a possibility,
No.
because he has, say, when the person is so much intellect, the person is so much good, the person is doing well, many people comes in his life, many people goes. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't
Please
matter
tell him.
because, as I say, they accept failure, whether it is a professional failure, whether it
Yeah.
is a relationship failure, whether what it is. They will just move on and they move on gracefully. They have no ill feelings towards anybody. So if you say that, oh, he was depressed, as Niraranol said that, oh, he was depressed perhaps because Ria had left. But maybe a little bit he was sad that she
It's
left.
okay. Everybody will be sad if some
Exactly,
girlfriend, if
because
something
he
will
was
happen.
in a relationship
Yeah.
with her, but he wouldn't go to the extent where he would go and kill himself.
The answer to Shadow's question here is yes. Definitely, Sachin Waze is having link with the terrorist. That's how he was doing encounter, or he was catching all those people only when these Chota Rajan or whosoever these terrorists are, the Daud gang and DT gang and everybody,
Hmm.
those what these people want, that please catch him now, so you will be in the good eyes, or in the good position, and you show some encounter this and that, because this people is not worthy for us now. So so catch him. So
Yeah,
yes,
that
definitely was.
encounter days of him, it just gave him the cover to do
Yeah,
illegal activities.
illegal activities. And
Yeah.
he has, again I am telling people, in 1997 the special squad have been formed, and he was the head of this special squad for anti extortion. Now you
Yes.
can understand, after putting the bomb and after doing all these extortion thing, what have say came up in the past few months. and he was the head of anti-extortion cell. How this can be
Yeah,
possible? Because he
all
was
these
the extortion.
encounters, okay, all the people that they encountered were all like drug dealers and everything, right? So if you get rid of the opposition, then you have a free reign over the society and over the country. So it was just an elimination process, getting rid of all the, um, you know, people that were standing in their way of for them
True.
to commit their crimes, for them to start their extortion rackets. So they had to get rid of these people first
Yeah, true.
to start their own
So
business. And he knows the system. He knows the people. He knows how things work. He knows about evidence. He knows about intelligence. He himself invented many things for the
see,
police
there is a very
department.
valid point, very valid point from Prasad. Very true. Complete control over Mumbai. Hence, FIR not lodged by Mumbai police, because if they
Yeah.
will lodge an FIR, there will be an
It will get
investigation.
quashed. Like we
Yes.
saw with Disha's case, they said the file disappeared from the computer,
Yeah.
but there's no hard copy. So why all the excuses? Is the police working for the crooks, or
Yeah.
is the police working for society? So you have to
True.
look at the leadership of the Mumbai police, even prior to Parambir Singh.
See, people are asking. I'll take this question of Pratibha, and I need to answer, and you also need to answer. People should understand that behavior analysis should be done for family members as well. Why? Why? If I have been killed, let me take my own example. If I have been killed and my family knows that how much, say how many bigger peoples are involved, and what I am going to gain through, if my family knows that what they are going to gain through, even after putting the FIR and doing so, what Jia Khan mother have gained till date? Nothing.
Look, when you're doing a police investigation, everybody is a suspect. Whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your professional colleagues or whoever, everybody is a suspect. But the police use a system, they rule people out according to what evidence they can get and according to where people were at the time, blah, blah. And, this is how they work. If people are trying to insinuate that the family has something to do with this, that we should do a behavioral analysis on them, why should
And
we?
please,
We
people,
don't
and please,
have all the
people,
facts.
understand, if you are involving family or whatever, this would have came out till date
Yeah, they would
already.
have been arrested at the very beginning if they
Arrested at
had
the
a
very
hand in
beginning, that
it.
family was having
Yeah,
this history, that history. It was the first thing which Sachin Vaje would have done.
yeah, exactly. They would have put some kind of evidence against the family to say, well, you all had a hand in it. But it's not so. They wanted to make it look like a suicide. As we heard in that video, the police saying, everything will be exposed.
Yeah.
So they were trying to cover up everything very quickly in that room. So when Mitu walked into that room, all she saw was Sushant was already on the bed.
See, Alaknanda ji, I would like to answer, and Miss Ishara can throw a light upon it. Yes, Mitu was present, and she was in shock. And she was not only she, her, so his all the family members, even they all were in shock. But they knew, they were knowing that who is behind all this. The only problem is to whom to say, to whom to
Exactly.
express,
Remember,
to
she
whom
was
to.
alone there, right? No other
Yeah.
family members, no support. She's in the presence of Mumbai police who have a reputation.
And if police will say to me, if say, even as a forensic expert, say when I go to see say an autopsy or to take a report, if police says please stay outside, I have to stay outside. I have to be in my limitations, because
Yes,
the investigating officer is the investigating officer.
yes.
Police is police. Court is
Ex-
court. We can't intervene, say, in between. So definitely. So
Yes, there
she
is
has
a
been kept
protocol
outside.
that's followed in the investigation, especially of a suspicious death like this, an alleged suicide, but we know, it is a murder. So no
And who knows?
protocol was
Yeah.
followed. Why?
And
That's
who
the
knows at
first
the
rule.
time of and who knows at the time of Sushant Singh Rajput postmortem, somebody might have said to me to Singh, "Oh, we need to conduct the postmortem right now because of the COVID
Yeah. We
or
don't
because of
know.
certain
We
things."
don't know a
Yeah.
lot of things. So we cannot just judge people by that. And they don't have an obligation to tell us anything either. So we need to accept that. They are going through trauma. Their only brother was killed. They know he was killed. But their hands are tied as well, and they also have to live in fear of what may happen. Can you imagine if Mr. Wazir was still running around? People would be really intimidated by him.
Yes. And it's very true.
How can you
It's
speak in
very true.
front of Mr. Wazir? You saw what happened with Arnab,
Arnab. Yes.
right? Nobody cared. He was dragged to jail, bare feet. Can you deal with police like that? Can you trust police to say anything in front of them? You rather might as well just keep quiet. And that's what Me Too did. That was her
Yes.
only option, to keep quiet, because she, I am sure, the minute she heard what had happened, she knew it was not a suicide. I can guarantee that. But out of
And
fear, she probably
and
just
that's why they
kept
are still
quiet.
fighting for the justice. They are
Yeah,
still fighting for the justice because they know it is not a mere suicide case. So
yes.
can you answer this question from Inaya?
What about Baze?
Does criminal psychology proves that he was the PNE? I don't know what Miss Inaya want to say this,
I'm not sure what PNE is either.
or how many people were there? Yes, how many people were there can be forensically examined and analyzed if the evidence have been collected properly.
Yeah.
Then definitely. Brian, a close preserve of suspicious suicide case, it is always a protocol
Everything
that
is
they have to,
preserved. Everything.
everything is preserved. But what we have seen in Sushant Singh Rajput case, even after the autopsy, the same clothes have been put on
Yeah.
again, and they have been burnt purposefully.
To get rid of evidence. As I said, the body of
That was the
evidence.
only evidence which remains. Otherwise, CBI will take that evidence also.
Yes.
Everything. See,
They had to get rid of everything, because in a normal investigation, everything is sealed in bags. Whatever was on the body, whatever was in the room, whatever evidence is filed, things are sealed in bags and they are kept away. They are stored in the evidence locker for however many years they may need it. You
yeah.
don't get rid of it. But in this case, everything is gone.
Even till date, if Mansukh Hiren's dead body would not have been encountered, we would have or Mr. Ambani would have been thinking that this was a terrorist attack
Yeah.
only. So this is
Exactly, and Sachin Vaze, his book on the Scout centered around the terrorist attack. Then he goes and plants this bomb at those gelatin sticks in the vehicle. Why would you do such a thing? What were you thinking when you did that? What were you trying to achieve when you put, gelatin sticks inside a vehicle?
yeah.
Anybody who sees something like that, or even if you pick up a bag and there's something ticking in it, what impression does it give you? It gives you the impression that this is a bomb, right? That's enough to create panic. It may just be a clock in there, but you don't know that. And in the same way, these gelatin sticks, they may not have had their detonators and other components on it, but the fear factor was still there.
The
It
fear factor.
created a panic.
Yeah.
But for what
and the,
reason?
and the panic was only if the richest person is not safe in the country. Maybe it might be for the political reasons, to bring down the government, the central government, or whatsoever, or to bring up the say Sachin Wajre to the next level, or to extort the money, thousands of crores of rupees, in one shot, whatever might be the reason. But
Mhm.
there was an element of fear
Exactly.
which have been, say, instated in the mind of the people. And thanks to God that Mansukh Hirain body was found, and that's how we came to know all these things, and that's how we can link the SSR case to Sachin Waze as well. Everything is linked. Everything is linked.
Everything is linked. It's just that we don't have all the pieces to put it together.
I believe that NIA will say definitely say put it together, or they know that what has happened. If Sachin Waze have spoken up about the Sushant Singh Rajput case or not, we don't know, but definitely about all the encounters.
Yeah, the encounters are very, very important in all of this because it actually shows how his character starts to unfold. You start to see all the flaws in his character and all the illegal activities that he was committing. And it went unchecked.
And
Any other
that's so,
officer who had done such things, they wouldn't even be in the police force. They would be behind bars a long
yeah.
time ago. But he was allowed to roam free. Why? Because he had a specific purpose to extort money, to
To
carry
extort
out
money.
the illegal activities that were given from higher authorities.
Say this is a question to you.
Sorry, I can't even
In the earlier
see
session
that.
about SSR body in crucifixion position, SSR's home manager seen on streets of Bandra on 12th or 13th. What you would like to say?
Said in. Sorry, I can't even see this.
In one of your previous session, you have said, or you have
Yes, I
mentioned,
said how his body was lying on the bed in the crucifixion position.
yeah, I don't know what Mr. Prasad wants to say here. Mr. Prasad, please be more precise what you want to say here.
Oh man, yeah, I'm not understanding what he's asking of
See,
me.
Ishara, the thing is that it's okay. We'll take the question again. The thing is that the person is such a, I don't know, even I should call him psychopath or sociopath.
As I say, he's a sociopath. You know, if you would equate him to any of these personality disorders, he's a sociopath because he's not a born criminal. You know,
Okay.
it's not in his DNA. He has learned this over the time. It's a learned response.
It's a learned behavior.
Yeah, it's not
And
genetically linked to him.
he can go to any extent that people can think of, because the power was in his hand.
Yeah,
He was having that power, he was having that liberty from the government, from the people, from everybody, that he was having that liberty to go to any extent to eradicate all the people whosoever comes in front of him, whosoever comes in the line, he should eradicate. And he was having all these powers. The only
yeah,
thing which came up is the next thing was the Paramveer Singh letters.
yeah. And you know, with sociopaths, you'll find that they find it very difficult to maintain stable relationships. So we don't know what his family relationship was. We do know he has a wife and family, but they may only show a little bit of remorse or empathy with those members. But to the rest of society, they don't care about them. This is how they can continue doing what they do. And when you look at Sachin Vaze, he's not somebody approachable. He comes across as very arrogant and very intimidating. And that's part of their personality. It has to be done their way. They don't care what you have to say about it. And as I said, he's impulsive. He does not plan properly. His crime scenes, like with Hiren's case and with the Antilia case, there's no meticulous planning. He made too many mistakes in there. And that's very in line with sociopathic behavior.
One thing very good came in my mind when people commit suicide, whosoever commits suicide, and when they want to show everybody that they are the one who have taken their life, they don't lock the door from inside. They don't lock the door from inside. They put everything, they write down each and everything, that what are the points that have compelled, what they provoke them to do,
Mm-hmm.
or to perform such an act. It's only in certain cases. If you will take the NCRB data about the suicide, how many people have locked them inside the room, when they know that, when they love, if the person is so cautious about blasting off AC to the fullest, that his body should not get decomposed easily, why he will lock the room?
Exactly. Why would he lock
he,
the room?
he will want,
He would
he
want
always
somebody to find his body.
body easily, so he will
Yeah.
not lock the room. So it was completely a myth. It is completely just a story which have been taken, that the room was locked from inside so that people can believe the suicidal theory.
Yes,
It's only to
exactly.
make them believe the suicidal theory.
Yeah, and if you look at that lock, I mean, if you took something and banged on that thing, it would have broken. If they were such young, strong guys, Neeraj, Keshav, Pitani, if they all, kicked in that door would have broken. There's no need to go and find key maker to open the door. And that door was a keyhole lock. It was not a digital lock.
Yeah, it's not a digital lock, it's a keyhole
Yeah,
lock which was broken
just
easily,
easily.
which was
I think
broken
if a
easily.
lady has to kick down a door, it would open. Why would
Yeah.
Sushant be found in a room like that, with a keyhole lock? Because the room on the opposite side of the passage, that has a digital lock. You would put a digital lock in a room where you have valuable things. And by Neeraj's own statement, he said when Sir used to go away, then he used to lock the door. When Sir
Yeah.
was around, the door was never locked unless Ria was there. So, is it logical that Sushant's room now has a keyhole lock where he was found, or Sushant's room would be the one with the digital lock?
If it was, say, even if it was a digital lock room, Siddharth Patani or somebody else might have been knowing all the codes and
They
to
knew
open the digital.
everything. They cannot say they
Yeah.
didn't know. And here you have all educated, strappy, savvy young men. None of them had the presence of mind to take a picture or a video. Everybody carries a cell phone,
Yeah.
but no videos, no pictures. Even when they brought the body down, they were all so scared that they couldn't even take a picture. If you didn't want to implicate yourself, you would take pictures. By not taking pictures, you make yourself look guilty. And
So here's
Niraj
a
made
question
it a
from,
point to say that Sushant smoked, I think, 40 cigarettes, marijuana sticks. In his statement, he says that Sushant smoked, I think, 40 cigarettes. And when he looked in the cupboard, in the hallway little unit, it was all gone. So he's implying that Sushant smoked all those cigarettes before he killed himself. So when the police entered that room, wouldn't they have got the smell of the cigarettes?
even not a piece of this cigarette. It was only
Yeah.
some
You didn't find no
medicine sticks
cigarette
they have
stubs,
had.
nothing there. So what
Yeah.
happened to it?
Even what happened to the, say, any kind of drug, even after so much of investigation, uh, till when the CBI came,
Yeah.
there was no investigation on the drug theory at all.
Yeah, they say he was a druggie. But had they taken hair samples, nail samples, it would show there. Because a drug
Yeah.
addict, all that would show in your hair and in your nails. If there was a struggle, as we know there must have been a struggle because we saw Pitani had this injury on his head, right? And we know from looking at Sushant that there must have been a big struggle, right? But there's no evidence for that, which is highly suspicious that the scene is so clean.
SSMG, yes, there is an FIR. That's why the ATS and everybody came into consideration. That's how the NIA came. That's how the CBI will come and everything. Yes, there has to be an FIR because
And I'm
so
sure
they
Sachin Vaze knew that that house is bomb proof.
yes.
Everybody knows that. How would Sachin Vazi not know that? So why would you go place this car there with these gelatin sticks? What was your motive?
Yeah,
And then we
I
also
think
know that he was holed up in this in the Trident Hotel with Mina George.
yeah,
We don't
people
know
were
who
asking
she
what
is.
happened to Meena Georgia. So where is she? Maybe she is behind the bars as well, but because she is not a famous personality, so
Yeah, we
she's
don't
not.
know what happened
Or
because
maybe she has spoken. She's the one who have spoken everything that how this was happening
yeah.
to save herself. So that's how
Right
the
now,
case is.
everybody's gonna be, turning on one another because they're all gonna be trying to save their own skins,
Yeah,
including Sachin Vazi. He's gonna go to the highest bidder, the one that gives him the best deal. That's the person he's going to speak to, because already he's starting to retract some of his statements against Mr. Deshmukh. So,
yeah.
but he
Aranya,
is a dangerous somebody that should not be roaming free.
and now
Unfortunately, yeah,
and
for
now
him.
100 times more dangerous. Now 100 times more dangerous. If he comes out, there might be some more evidences which NIA is looking for, or which can be very dangerous to any of the government officials or anybody. If he will be out, then these evidence will also be going to be eradicated. And yes, Aranyaji, Dr. Padma gave her professional analysis about the five dogs and everything. Yes, we respect. Say Pratibhaji, thanks. We all know that sister is lawyer and brother-in-law is a police commissioner and what's. But when you know from head to toe the system where you have to file the case, where you have to fight the case is actually is not going to work according to you, is not going to listen to you. Have you all seen the way Ria Chakravarti was walking when she had been interrogated? I think by the CBI. Immediately she went to say police station, Bandra police station, and the way she was walking through, we have seen in the videos, the confidence she was having that nothing is going to happen to her.
Yeah, because
That's
the Mumbai police have their backs. They are hand
yeah,
in glove with them. So they know nothing's going to happen to them. But, change is happening, as you can see. People are being arrested.
yeah.
It's a slow
But
process because there's so
we should
many
put a
elements in
disclaimer
this
here
case.
that we should put a disclaimer here when we are saying Mumbai police, we are only talking about people like Sachin Vaze. We are not talking
Yes.
about
The
the
whole of the
genuine
police
people,
force is
the
not,
whole of the police force,
yeah,
because they
corrupt.
worked really very hard. The all the rest of the police people, they work very hard day and night
Yes. And it's
to feed their
unfortunate that they
family.
have to work under these people who are so highly
These people,
corrupt that hold such
yeah,
high positions. They're in leadership positions. So the people that work under them, they are just forced to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear because their hands are tied. They cannot do anything against these people because they have powerful people backing them. And Sachin Vazi had powerful people backing him. He did not function on his own accord. He was doing this for a reason, for people.
yeah. Would you like to answer this question from Miss Goddess?
Mm, in your respected opinion, without all
Without
the
all the evidences which
evidence.
have obviously been destroyed by the police, etc., how will CBI? Not all the evidences have been destroyed. There are certain evidences. That's why case is still going on.
Yes, and we
A
do know
case,
that his sister did take some pictures, and pictures
Some
is
pictures.
also evidence,
Yeah,
and we don't know
there
what
are
else
certain
they have and
evidences.
what else they know. So we cannot
CB,
just
see,
say that everything is destroyed.
if CBI has to prove, let me tell all the people, if CBI has to prove it is merely a case of suicide, it would have been done much earlier.
Yeah, it would have been very easy to prove a simple
To prove,
suicide case. But as I say, there's so many elements in this case. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes resources to do this case. You have to liaise with foreign governments because there's an element of organized crime, and organized crime extends outside the borders of India.
yeah,
So there's protocols to be followed, evidence to be collected, people to be interviewed. So it's not an easy process. And then you are getting a lot of resistance on the, as well. And the family also, they don't know who to trust because they know the system is corrupt. Not
yeah.
everybody in the system is corrupt, but how do you trust and who do you trust?
Who do you trust? And yeah, true. Mr. Ritesh ji, even when I talk to the family personally, I would like to say this on the record. Yes, even they do not know Sandeep Singh. And see, in the time of grief, when somebody comes, automatically you don't have time to judge them. You don't have time to judge them. Even me too was not having time to judge Sandeep Singh, that how this person came. Whosoever, you need help from the people, that what should be done next, what is the next procedure.
He was very persuasive and probably very, adept at comforting her. And that's what she needed right there and then. She needed the
So,
support, but maybe he was not the right support that she needed. He was just controlling everything that was happening.
Ms. Ishara, just to conclude, I would like to still emphasize on the fact that the topic was the behavior of Sachin Waze. And definitely there might be many people like Sachin Waze in the society.
Exactly.
Okay. We
There's
have no, yeah,
sociopaths and psychopaths also exist amongst the normal community. They can be high functioning CEOs, lawyers, doctors, you name it, in all kinds of professions. But it doesn't mean that all of them have the killer instinct. They may be ruthless in business. They are well suited to politics. They are well suited to business. And a lot of them commit white collar crimes, okay, like fraud and stuff. So you cannot just say only Sachin Baze is a psychopath or he's a sociopath. And it's not a good thing to label people in that manner because it is a
yeah,
very severe diagnosis when it is done. But this is in no way a diagnosis of Mr. Vaze. This is just drawing
yeah. We are not
parallels
diagnosing. Yes, of course, we are not
with his
diagnosing.
behavior and what
But
those personalities display.
based on these documents, which I have noted down, so we can say, at least as a criminologist or as a forensic scientist, even if Sachin Wade watches this video after he is out or whether he is in the jail, he will believe this, that what he has done in the name of the encounter, what he has done in the name of the death of the Mansukh Hirain and Antilia bomb case by creating Jaisul Hind, and all these things, he is a sociopath. He want to maintain his status by the wrongful activities.
Yeah,
He has always done that. And all the people involved, whether who are the supporters like Paramveer Singh and Anil Deshmukh, whosoever were the supporters, they also fall into the same category.
yeah.
What
And
they
these
have done
kind
for
of
the money.
people like Sachin Bazi, they don't take responsibility for their actions. They don't see anything wrong with their actions. That's the difference. And with psychopaths, they totally detached from society. Sociopaths have a little bit of empathy and remorse for their loved ones, maybe. But in order to do that, you need a proper full background check, childhood check, and there's also a checklist that is used to identify psychopaths and sociopaths. It's called the Hare's checklist. So you cannot just go out and say, Mr. Vazi is a sociopath. No, there's a process. But
True.
we are just drawing similarities of his behavior, the flaws in his behavior. We are exposing that so that we can understand why he acted the way he did, erratically, impulsively, making mistakes. That's part of their personality.
True. So thank you, Miss Ishara, for being here. Okay, we would like to end this session now. And as I know that you are also busy in one of the conference and you are preparing for that, and definitely they see the questions are endless. The questions are endless. There are uh, limitless questions.
Yes, the more
Which,
questions you ask, the less answers you get. So just stick to what you have seen in those
yeah,
initial videos. That's your evidence right there.
yes,
Don't
true.
listen to other theories and confuse the issues. There is no such thing as Sushant is alive.
Yeah, there is
That
no such
theory
thing.
is totally out, and that is disrespectful to his memory and to his family.
Yeah, true.
All this would have been for what? If he's alive, do you think the police are going to go on such a wide investigation that involves foreign countries? Is this for that reason? Is he going to come back and say, no, I just did this to my family for what? You think he's going to want to hurt his family in this way? Do you think he would want to hurt his family by committing suicide? A family that he loved, a family that gave him such a firm foundation. He would not disrespect his mother's memory by killing himself. He would not do that.
True.
He had everything to live for, nothing to die for.
And the
But the
person was having
person,
so many.
that they wanted
Yeah.
to remove, he's now here to stay in everybody's minds and in everybody's hearts. He's now become an international icon that you can never take away now. And he
Yes.
has awakened that spirit for change in the justice system. And he would want justice not just for himself, he would want justice for everybody. He would put himself last because that's the type of person he was.
So, with due respect to the divine soul of Sushant Singh Rajput and to all those people who are fighting for the justice, we will keep fighting for the justice. We will not stop raising our voice, and we'll talk again and again on all these issues because we know it is not a simple suicide case and how he and the family have been framed in so many things. We all know. So people don't believe in many of the so-called fake theories, and just we need to understand, yes, people like Sachin Vaze do exist in our society who can do anything to any extent for their monetary gains or for their reputation. And I think so. With these words, Miss Ishara, I would like to thank you once again for being on my channel on the people request. And as I have say promised the people that I will do the handwriting analysis for Sachin Vaze, I'm still making the notes of that because I want to show, I want to come with the PowerPoint presentation regarding that. I don't want to, come with any of the superficial analysis. I want to come with that. So, Ms. Ishara, thank you very much. All the viewers, thanks a lot for being here, for putting your uh, things in front of us. And thank you for participating. Ms. Ishara, would you like to say anything more?
Thank you for having me on your platform, and to all the viewers and the comments that they give us, whether it's good or bad. We are all in this learning process. So, good comments and bad comments just helps us be better at what we do. So, criticism is also welcome. And we need to keep up the fight for justice so that things change in society, so that we have a better future for the younger generations.
True.
And justice for Sushant will occur. Not now, not tomorrow, but it will happen.
Thanks a lot for your these positive words, and with these positive words we gain more power, we gain, more courage to fight
Yeah, and
again and
stick
again.
together. As they
Yeah,
say, divided we fail. And if we stick together, you can conquer anything.
yeah. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you, Miss Ishara.
You're
We'll come back
welcome.
again someday. Thanks a lot.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Bye.